everybody. This is Jim Cornette, pro wrestling legend, and you're listening to the Book in the Territory Unprofessional Wrestling Podcast.
This is the artist formerly known as Daryl Van Horn, James Mitchell, the Sinister Minister, and I'm here to let you know I would rather slam my cock in a car door than to miss the dulcet tones of Hard Body Harper, my illegitimate son, on Booking the Territory podcast.
Welcome back, everyone, to this week's episode of our Smoky Mountain Rasslin podcast. This is Smoky Mountain Wrestling, episode 163 from March the 11th of 1995. And oh, what a big one we have for everyone today. Some stuff is going down related to Bobby Blaze, and because of this epic episode, I'll call it, Bobby is going to join me at the end of this episode to talk about what happens. But for now, I'm sitting here with Doc and not Hard Body Harper. And look, let me tell everybody up front. There are some extenuating circumstances surrounding my personal life right now with an illness. And it is causing our schedule, normal time of recording these, to be moved around. And unfortunately, Harper's not available during that time. Doc is, and that's why Harper hasn't been with us lately on this show. So I don't really want to get into the particulars, but there's something going on that is just out of my control, and that's all I'll say. Doc, with that said, how are you?
Well, as much as I'd like to make a joke and punch you and continue to kick you while you're down, come on, everybody. This is the time when we all rally together as an army. And so we're just, we had some audio issues in weeks past. We have schedule issues. We ask for patience because this is not our full-time gig, but we do it because we love to do it. We love Smoky Mountain. We sort of like you guys. And so just know we, the two of us, would rather have Harper right here. This show is better. We know that this show is better when Harper's sitting in the booth doing Harper stuff.
Yes.
But it's more important to us to get this show out on time and to give you the content that you're paying for and through your patronage. And I know, because I listen to podcasts. I expect them to come out because I'm a regular listener. So we're doing this because we have to, not necessarily because we want to. But that being said, I would love to kick you, but there's no reason in that. You're down enough as it is. This is a big one, man. Our boy is getting the come up, man.
Yeah, this is a huge one. Bobby and I have already talked about it. If you're a Patreon member, you've probably already heard the discussion that Bobby and I had about this week's episode and kind of what goes down. So we'll get into that shortly. First, I do want to mention, along with Bobby's comeuppance, I want to thank disrespectfully Marky Blassie, Kyle Riley, Mike Childry for their generous patronage contributions each and every month. They help us get our comeuppance for this show. And I don't usually say this at the top of the show, but I'll say it now. If you are not a patron, no worries. We understand. Not everybody can afford it. But if you're shopping on Amazon, please use our Amazon referral link. It's tinyurl.com/BTT Amazon. It is a great way to support this show, and give that link to the hoes, girlfriends, wives, side pieces, whatever you may call it. Give that link to them and tell them to use it as well. Again, it's tinyurl.com/BTT Amazon. Put that link on Facebook and say, hey, use this if you shop on Amazon. Like, literally tweet it out or put it on Facebook and social media to people who don't even listen to the show, because that can help us too, and it's not costing them anything extra. Now, with that said, this is technically taping number 4. Let me start the Patreon video. This is technically taping number 4 from Lenore, North Carolina at Mulberry Street Rec Center. Again, episode 163, March 11th, 1995. The show actually starts. Doc, I'm assuming you can see my screen, right?
Oh, I can see it. Last week, we put a flag on Bob. Jeez, and it wasn't the flag we like. It was a big, nasty, stinky white X.
It was the X flag. So we see a replay of the Gangsters putting the flag on Bullet Bob Armstrong, and then we cut to the new terrible theme song after that, which we've talked about already. Les Thatcher and Jim Ross then open the show, and Les and JR tell us that we will see some highlights from Sunday Bloody Sunday. That's what we're talking about, with Bobby Blaze being involved in that heavily. And then there was a weird cut right before that they went to commercial, and then the first match. Doc,
down in the Smoky Mountains.
I think longtime Patreon member David Jordan, I think he added it. Doc, I don't know if you use Spotify, but David's doing the Lord's work. He has built a Spotify playlist of all of the excellent
Smoky Mountain.
and
Oh, okay. I got you. Smoky Mountain entrance and all that kind of stuff, right?
not just that, like Smooth Up in Your Bullet Boys,
Right.
anything that I will say that you and Hopper have mentioned as songs that are good or bad. He's doing the Lord's work, and he's built a Spotify playlist for us. So.
See, those are things like even if you can't be a patron, you can do something to contribute to the community, help out. And those are always ask yourself, what could I do to help the show? Is it a 5-star review? Is it just whatever, man? Give it, but we prefer the money. I'm not gonna lie.
All right.
Smoothed up in ya. Yeah.
Whoa. Yeah.
Yeah.
All
they
right.
they also had For the Love of Money. Anyway.
Well, we go to the first match after that great announcement from Les and Jim opening the show. And we get Unabomb and Al Snow versus Anthony Michaels and George South of JCB fame, Enhancement Talent. Snow and Unabomb win with ease, and Al Snow looks very agile. That was my only note, besides the fact that they won with ease. What do you have from this, Doc, if anything?
Yeah, I just had one note in here that JR asked Al Snow over in the booth, "What are you doing over here?" And at some point in that exchange, Snow brings up JR's sex life again. So we need to keep an eye out for the ongoing Al Snow sexual chronicles. They come out to Kiss. Gotta tell you, Denim, Mulkey, Fritz, Kiss is not the best band in the world. That Unholy song is awesome. God of Thunder is awesome. They had good songs. I own some records. But when you go back and listen to some of that corny stuff, it's corny, man. So I'm just saying.
And this is the point where you need Harper to respond
I
to
do.
you and agree or disagree.
I knew when I was saying that I was just throwing it down into the well, and it just was a bottomless pit. I threw the penny in the well, and I was waiting for the clink, and it just never came. So
you know, the only thing I know about Kiss is
I want to rock and roll all night.
Well, and then like War Machine and stuff like that. But the one thing of note I had about Kiss was I remember as a kid they had the face paint and then they didn't have the face paint and then they had it again, right?
Yes.
Maybe.
Well,
okay.
when they decided that there was money in putting the paint on, they thought there was money in taking it off, and in some degrees they were kind of right. And I was a kid too. Then they decided there was more money in putting it back on. And you know why? You know what that makes it, right?
Brass.
That makes it a work.
Well,
you know
there's
why?
truth in both of that.
You know why?
Go ahead.
Because there's money involved.
Well, no, there was truth in both of it. Because like if the face paint is on and everybody's clamoring to see what they look like with it off, they're like, oh yeah, there's money in that. And then once it's put back on, it's like, oh, the old Kiss is back. I guess. I don't know. I'm just speculating. Anyway.
I mean, it's why Hogan every once in a while come out and pose. Anyway, I'm not here to talk about Kiss. We do come out of this match, though, with a ridiculous hotline question, by the way.
You want to tell the people what it was?
Yeah, it was, can Unabomb be defeated? Well, if he can't, then we might as well just go home. We have, in our quest for the best wrestler ever, have found him, and there's no point in continuing this. So
I gotta say, man, they some of these hotline questions are wow. I mean, they're milking the people for some change.
This is. Let me put it to you this way. I know you guys want more patron content, and as we explained at the beginning of the show, we're trying here, and we're recording tonight. We're going to do a clash tonight without Harper, I think, but you're getting a better deal for your patron dollars than you would if you called the Smoky Mountain hotline. That's for sure.
Yeah, at least we give a product.
Okay, so now we're over to the rock and roll, and I didn't have any notes from this other than, is it just me when you look at this, patrons, but is Ricky Morton even more mullety right here? He looks like a damn rooster there.
Well, it's because because the top is so teased and straight and spiky.
And that is a mullet. That is an exquisite, strong mullet right there.
And he's still wearing that exact same hairdo in 2019 flawlessly. And I say flawlessly with sarcasm. But you're right. What Doc's talking about is the Rock and Roll Express just cut a promo. It's real brief. They're talking about March Madness and an elimination tag match with Al Snow and Unabomber, where it's not the first person to get pinned. It's basically they're going to eliminate each other elimination style. So let's say Gibson gets pinned, the match isn't over, then Morton needs to be pinned too before the other team wins. But we'll see what happens.
My favorite one of those ever was an ECW, and I don't remember the year, but I want to say 94, probably 95. And it was for the TV title, I think. And it was Jericho, Shane Douglas, Pitbull 2, and Too Cold in a 4-way match, elimination match. And Douglas attacked Pitbull on the way out to the ring and just laid him out. And then the three of them went after each other for a long time. And then Pitbull got back in. Jericho was the champion coming in and was the first one eliminated. And then Douglas had Francine turn on the Pitbulls and go with him, and he won the title. And that's probably my favorite ECW match of all time.
I don't know if I have a favorite ECW match.
That's a good one, dude. And it goes for a while, and there's just twists and turns, and the champ goes out first. So,
yeah.
Well, here's somebody we need to say goodbye to.
Well, I was about to say, speaking of ECW.
Speaking of that highway that's leading from eastern Tennessee up to Pennsylvania, here we go.
Right. Jim Ross and Les Thatcher, they throw us to a Sunday Bloody Sunday.
Wait a minute. Who's the first choice for chicken?
I don't know. Jock's talking about the ring apron at Sunday Bloody Sunday.
Yeah,
Who was that?
I don't know, man.
Which chicken place was
I thought
that?
I thought you would say Popeyes, and I would say KFC.
Well, I would, but let's see. Nick Fawcett would know. He's in that area. Who else would know that's in that area? Brian Rose would know. What is the first choice for chicken? Which chicken place is that? I bet you, I don't know, man. But anyway, Jim Ross and Les Thatcher, they throw us to Sunday Bloody Sunday with Chris Candido versus Boo Bradley with Chip Kessler on commentary. There's all kind of shenanigans in the match, or at least some of it. We only see a clip of it with Tammy and her hairspray, as you've seen if you're watching on Patreon. Boo Bradley does defeat Candido, though, when he yanks him off the top rope, because remember, they're attached by a chain. And then we hear Tommy Noe say, because Tommy's on the PA, Candido must leave Smoky Mountain Wrestling. So, Doc, that's the end of Candido and SMW, right?
Yeah, what a great run. He and Tammy. Tammy came into her own here. She really blossomed, and I'm not trying to be dirty yet. I will in a second. Candido came in and was solid all throughout, did a bunch of goofy gimmicks, but got him over and handled it well. They killed a cat. And Tammy stood there and made Tommy Noe crazy in that bikini early on. And, you did see Boo mace Tammy. And that led me to a question. Do you think that was the only time Tammy had some sort of liquid sprayed into her face that night?
Come on, bro. What are you, to take a word from Harper, what are you, 12?
Have you heard our show before?
Jesus.
And some of the things that you've told me that you've heard makes me ask that question, to be honest. You just won't tell the patrons and the people.
I'm not saying nothing.
See, you know, you were telling me some just downright filthy things.
I don't know what you're talking about, but I will say this. Candido's feud with Tim Horner was very, very good. Very, very underrated, even though it was with the whole bonnet and all that.
So let me ask you this. So we talked about Chris. Would you say that was the best thing Horner did in the promotion?
It was one of his best feuds, probably. I mean,
yeah,
this
I agree.
stuff he did with Buddy was good, too. I mean, it didn't, it ended in Moon River, but him and Buddy had a nice little feud. So, I mean, I can't say that, but we're talking in-ring stuff. The stuff with him and Buddy and the stuff with him and Candido was some of his best stuff. There's no doubt about it.
Okay.
Look, man, for what it's worth, Horner's feuds in the ring, some of the stuff he's involved in, It was good, man. There's nothing to take from it. It's just the outside the ring stuff that
He just
laugh
couldn't
about.
say Paul Orndorff if his life depended on it. We know.
I mean, that shit was there was nothing wrong with that in the ring, but it was great comedy on the promos. But God, it feels like it was 10 years ago. Holy crap.
No kidding.
All right,
that's what I'm saying when we get into the last year of this thing. How much this promotion changes over a short amount of time.
a short amount of time,
and we do it every week. So it's like the frog sitting in the pot that's slowly getting warmer. You have to think about it in long term because we do this every week. We've seen Boo for a while, but shit. When we started, Boo Bradley or Balls Mahoney wasn't on our radar and would have never been.
Yeah. Well, with that said, they go from Boo defeating Candido, and again, Chris, it was wonderful having you in Smoky Mountain. You and Tammy have fun up north in ECW, or in the WWF, and then eventually WCW. But Boo wins, and he's now looks like he's going to be in a feud with Billy Black because they show the replay of Billy Black defeating Boo Bradley in the Beat the Champ TV title match, and then they show Boo cutting a quick promo. Here it is.
Hello? Hey, is this on over here?
Yeah, will you go already?
Okay, I'm sorry. Hi, everybody. This is Boo Bradley again, and I'm here today to talk to you about something that happened on the TV when I had that TV championship thing, whatever that is, but they called me a champion, so I defended my belt against a guy named Billy Black. And Billy Black, he was a good wrestler, and I tried to treat him like a good wrestler and try to wrestle him, but I'm not a mean person. I try not to be a mean person. And when he was holding his leg like that, I thought he was really hurt, and I didn't want to hurt him. And then the next thing I know, I got dropped on my head from behind. And when I was growing up in Asbury, there's a lot of kids used to make fun of me. And they know how mean I can be when I throw them through a wall. And I don't want to do something like that, but Billy Black, you're going to end up making me do something like that to you just because you had to trick me like that, because everyone should wrestle fair. But I gotta go now. So everybody have a good day and eat your peas. Bye.
It's a fucking mess, man.
I can assure you of one thing. Doc ain't gonna be eating no peas. Fuck that.
Anything from Boo Bradley besides that?
Did he not say somewhere in there the TV title, whatever that is? I thought that was hilarious.
He's just a mess. I mean, you're listening to him if you watch the episode or our Patron and can see it on our video review. He's a mess.
He also sounds like a high-pitched kid version of Cactus now, which is funny because that's what it was always supposed to do.
He's very sympathetic too. That's what I do like about him in this role. But
no, I'm going to tell you, I kind of wish we could have seen the Billy Black Boo Bradley thing play out, to be honest.
Yeah, there may have been something there, but as we talk about that, the next match is Brian Logan versus Bad Boy Billy Black for the Beat the Champ TV title. Of course, Billy Black's going to win, but like I said, don't get too used to it because he ain't long for this territory. Billy Black wins, retains the title, but
he may look like Skinner. Well, he may look like Skinner, but he's going to be the Allman Brothers rambling man because he ain't going to be around.
Yeah, he ain't going to be around.
Apparently, he's got to get back over to the swamp, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, we told the story, I think, last week or a week before about what happens with him and why he's not around. But long story short, don't get used to him, like we said, and they're going to have to replace him, and that's that. So, Doc, I'm not even going to play the promo that he cuts. I don't have anything from it.
Yeah, the only thing I had from the match is when he did those kicks, JR was awesome. He goes, he didn't learn that in South Georgia, which, he's been over in Japan with Deaton. So that was a really nice I think JR, the problem is we're about to lose JR, and JR is really settling into a nice, he's always great at this time period, but he's really settling into a nice rhythm with Les, and they're just really good in this period. But yeah, I didn't have anything from the promo. I thought it was pretty meh.
Well, and the thing with JR and Les, and man, I gotta credit Les Thatcher because he told me this when he was on the show. Les said, he was listening to us one time and he was saying how we were talking about God, that still amazes me.
Get a new suit, old man.
Les Thatcher was listening to us, and he goes, I got a bone to pick with you guys. You guys are talking about having a heel manager, a heel announcer, and a babyface announcer. He's like, back in my day, he's like, we didn't always have that. We just had, the announcers.
This ain't your day, old man. I like what I like, and don't make me stretch you.
Well, yeah, right. Les is still stretching right now.
Well, here's the thing. I remember Les on that MTV show where he was running Heartland, his training school up, and whenever, and he had this punk kid come in, and I remember Les getting in the corner with him and going, look, pal, and you can imagine an old tough wrestler with some punk, white privileged, snotty youth that likes to do drugs and drink and try to get some rats saying he's a wrestler but can't even bump at his school. Les got in his face and goes, look, kid, I've seen all the tricks. You're not going to get anything over on me. I don't want it. And you can hear him saying it. Just, this shit ain't going to work.
Look, man, I'll stretch you. But what I was going to say was, the thing about Les is, him and JR, they're two baby faces, unlike Dutch and Bob Caudle were, where Dutch was the heel.
Yeah.
And Les and JR as a tandem are great on commentary.
I agree.
They're good. So we keep going, and Chip Kessler, the man who does not blink when talking, is actually interviewing Bob Armstrong and Jim Cornette. It's about 2 minutes, and I wasn't going to play it because we're going to play something else from this later, but Cornette is crying about not being able to go to either of the Smoky Mountain dressing rooms because he doesn't fit in either one. And then they throw us to Sunday Bloody Sunday with the Heavenly Bodies and Cornette versus the Gangsters. And Cornette breaks out the powder and takes out D-Lo. Bob Armstrong, who's the special guest referee, hits New Jack with the flapjack. The Bodies and Cornette pin the Gangsters. But then, of course, after the match, Bob Armstrong gets the boots put to him. Now, Doc, I'll stop there first. What do you have from either this interview, the first part of it, and then the stuff from Sunday Bloody Sunday with the Gangsters and the Bodies?
I thought it was really interesting for Corny to even talk about having to go to the babyface locker room, because that's just a picture, man. He's sitting in there with people he's screwed over all these years. So I think that's a really interesting thing to bring up in a promo and to make a visual, because I pictured him walking in there and they're all kind of looking at him like, what the shit. We also learned officially that Bedlam is gone. Bruiser Bedlam's out, which, and then when we went
he hadn't been around at all. So, I mean, it's like,
right. That's not a huge surprise. The other thing here is when they go to the ring, Bob looked really uncomfortable as a ref, in my opinion. We've had James Beard on the show years ago. I think most people just think being a ref is just easy, and I think there's an art to it. And just because you're good at one thing doesn't mean you're good at the other. And so I thought Bob looked a little uncomfortable, but that's okay. It's not a big deal. And then after I think the powder, Corny dropped a fucking elbow on D-Lo on the fucking concrete, dude.
It's pretty vicious, man.
He is a doughboy manager dropping an elbow. He's about to throw some powder, and that always gets me a little bit tingly in my pants. I love powder. I love powder being okay, watch this. Watch this if you're a patron. He's getting ready. He comes with the hammer down. Watch. Bruh, that's a concrete floor Corny just dropped that elbow on. Does that feel good when you land like that?
He was all right, because he was all. It'd be different if he came off the apron.
Sure.
But when he comes, he's on the floor already.
But he ain't a wrestler either.
No, I agree. But Corny during this time period is gaining weight, so he's got a lot of padding on that hip.
That's true too, and it's going to continue throughout '95. He is just downright fat in a few months, and he's talked about it. He's up in Stanford just. So
he said he's talked about it. He's like,
stress eating.
If you're Jerry Jarrett, you're up there just drinking and you don't normally drink. Yeah. But if you're me, you where you don't drink and do all those things, you stress eat and you blow up to 300 pounds basically. Almost. So
think about this. Think how frustrated and angry and cranky in our text exchanges when we watch Raw for 3 hours. Imagine being in that bullshit environment all the time. We'd be drinking and eating and drugging and all kinds of stuff too.
Well, you've said it a bunch of times. Like, I remember one time, I've had a few people reach out and go, man, it would be cool if y'all could work for the WWE and review classic wrestling. I'm like, I do not want to work for that company. Doc and I know what it's like to do pin me, pay me, and I would never want to work for.
We do this. We do this as an outlet to not do pin me, pay me. It's why we don't try sponsors. We just work directly to the consumer. And if you don't like it, and we know that you do, then okay.
Yeah, man. I don't know how else to say it. I'm with you. All right. So, Doc, they after that match where the Bodies and Cornette pinned the Gangsters.
Yeah. So hold on, because after that, I kept thinking, watching them stand there looking at each other, my note was Corny is going to turn on Bob at some point. This ain't going to end well. And then Bob is just, hey man, we don't need you guys. We're me and Tracy we'll stand on our own 2 feet or our own 4 feet. And Corny goes, yeah, but what if I can get you a certain mystery partner? And boy, I got to tell you, this is a mystery partner that's going to pay off.
Yeah, and we're gonna play the last part of it in a second.
Well, then hit it.
Well, let me reset things. So again, like Doc said, the Gangsters lose, and then we go back to a quick interview segment, and then Cornette throws it to not a rematch, but a replay with the Southern Boys versus the Gangsters that ended with, again, Bob Armstrong being buried under the X flag. So everybody remembers when that happened. And then comes the gold. Let me get to it. Here we go.
Cornette, what exactly is your proposal here?
Well, you know, it never hurts to take a trip down memory lane when you're trying to sell something, and that's what I'm trying to sell. I'm trying to sell myself to you, Bob Armstrong. I've got something to say to you. I got an offer to make. Now, I can't get the Heavenly Bodies down here all the time because they came in a couple of times, but I need somebody to get even with the Gangsters that's right here. And they got WWF contracts signed for the next 6 months. I don't have access to the Heavenly Bodies. I sure can't whip them myself. Not one of them, especially not 3 of them. But you and Tracy Smothers, you got a reason to want to get even with the Gangsters. And believe me, I understand that, and I want to let you fight that fight. But I also know you got D'Lo Brown outside the ring running around, causing chaos, and I know more tricks outside the ring than he's ever thought of or heard of, and I know how to head them off. So what I'm asking you is when you take on the Gangsters, I want to be a part of it. I want to be in on getting even. Let me be your manager. I want to manage you and Tracy Smothers against the Gangsters.
What?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
No, I'm serious.
We've never needed a manager. No doubt you know the tricks. You've been around long enough, manager of the year so many years in a row and all that. I've heard all that. So I know you know the tricks. No doubt in my mind. But we call our own shots. We're our own men. We want to get our revenge ourselves. And I don't think we need you, Jim Cornette. I think we can handle this job all by ourselves.
Well, I'll tell you, I wouldn't be a businessman if I wasn't bringing something to the table. I got a little something to add to this negotiation. See, like I said, D'Lo Brown, he's out there running around, and he's done as much damage to you and Tracy Smothers as the other 2 guys have. And he's a big, strong man. So you got 3 of them, you got 2 of you. Tell you what I'll do. I can bring this whole thing to a screeching halt. I'll get you the greatest 6-man tag partner that you've ever had in your life. You know, I got access to a lot of people, a lot of names in the world of wrestling. I'll get you a 6-man tag partner that can blow those Gangsters out of the water to join with you and Tracy Smothers against the 3 of them. If you'll let me manage you, I will provide you with a guy that will make people's eyes pop out like pie plates, and it will eliminate the Gangsters from the scene once and for all. I've already got him on the line. All I got to do is get the commitment from you to reel him in.
Well, you make it sound pretty persuasive. And the Gangsters have hurt me and my family. I'll tell you what I'll do, Cornette. If you produce this man who's as bad as you say and a juggernaut like you say, and I think he can get the job done, we'll take him as a 6-man partner and we'll even let you tag along as manager. How about that? But I got to know first. I got to know.
That's all I wanted to hear. I got the man's word himself, and I know his word's as good as a bond, and I got that partner, and all I got to do is make a phone call, and I'll tell everybody next week on TV exactly who it's going to be. But trust me, get to your TV set early, because you ain't going to want to miss this news. Smoky Mountain Wrestling is fixed to turn upside down.
Well, fans, we'll find out exactly who Jim Cornette will produce next week on Smoky Mountain Wrestling. More action coming up right after this.
We'll have to wait till next week, Doc, but it's a pretty big name, and that's all I want to say right now.
Hey, most of the time, this stuff has always paid off well in Smoky Mountain. There's been a couple of times like Abdullah. This is going to pay off. This is going to be awesome.
Yeah, we got. I feel like if I say anything else, I'll give it away. So
yeah, let's just go on to the big news though, because now we need to move on to something of some pretty big significance, not only to the promotion, but in our little community as well. And so this is one of those big moments in Smoky Mountain. And not only is it a big moment in Smoky Mountain, I'd say we had something to do with this, don't you think?
I don't know about that, but Jim Ross and Les Thatcher throw us to Chip Kessler, who sets the table for Buddy Landel, who attacks Dirty White Boy before his match with Jerry Lawler for the Smoky Mountain Wrestling Heavyweight title. Now,
first of all, hold on. Buddy was hilarious because they're like, he's over the mountain, he's gonna Dirty White Boy, and Buddy over the mic goes, "Oh no, he ain't coming in. He's drunk." Buddy's awesome here.
Yes, and then after all that, Budrow has something to say, and then we hear from Bob Armstrong with how they're going to settle this because of Budrow attacking White Boy. But let me play the audio from it. Here it is.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Jim Ross, Les Thatcher back with you here on Smoky Mountain Wrestling. Les, was Sunday, Bloody Sunday, everything you thought it was going to be?
Hey, you mentioned earlier upsets and surprises. It's all right here, Jim.
Ladies and gentlemen, let us please take you back to Sunday, Bloody Sunday. It was in Knoxville, Tennessee, when one of the wildest afternoons of Smoky Mountain Wrestling ever occurred. Here's what happened involving the Smoky Mountain Heavyweight Championship.
Fans here in Knoxville, Chip Kessler at the Civic Coliseum to report Sunday, Bloody Sunday activity to you for Smoky Mountain Wrestling. Now, as we get ready to look at our title defenses, it was to be Jerry the King Lawler this afternoon defending that belt against the Dirty White Boy. But as you're going to see right now, Nature Boy Buddy Landel makes his presence felt even before the match begins.
But the White Boy got a little retribution on him, ripping his clothes a couple of weeks ago. Wait a minute! There is Buddy Landel blindsiding the Dirty White Boy. Had a briefcase or something. I wouldn't be surprised if there's some bricks or rocks in there. And Landel is really teeing off on the White Boy.
Knoxville, Tennessee, the Dirty White Boy. Oh no, he ain't! You know, I always knew
What is going on here? The Dirty White Boy is face first outside the ring as Mark Curtis checks him out. Commissioner Bob Armstrong is out there.
Bob, he's drunk.
No, brother. White Boy is being helped back to the dressing room. And Landel is telling Lawler, let's get it on.
Me and Jerry Lawler tonight, right? Me against Jerry Lawler, right? Number one, you are fined $2,500.
Whoa! Landel fined $2,500 for those actions.
You were supposed to wrestle the winner of this match. Yeah. That's right. Well, what I'm going to do is go back here in the first wrestler I find with boots and tights. He's going to wrestle Lawler, and you can.
Well, Commissioner Bob Armstrong saying to Buddy Landel, wait a minute, buddy, you're supposed to wrestle the winner of this match.
Fans, the Dirty White Boy incapacitated, so Commissioner Bob Armstrong goes back to the dressing room and finds the first wrestler available to take on Jerry the King Lawler for the Smoky Mountain Championship, and that man is Ashland, Kentucky's Bobby Blaze.
I know what he is. I can tell by looking at him. He's what we call a curtain jerker. He's a preliminary punk who needs to be on the first match, or better yet, he should be like the rest of these pathetic peons. He should only be able to buy a ticket and sit in the front row and watch big stars like me wrestle. I shouldn't even have to soil my hands on a preliminary puke like him. But I'll tell you what, Bob Armstrong, just because you think you're showing up in front of all of your moronic fans here, I want you to sit here and watch what I do to him. Because when you see it, they're going to have to kickstart your pacemaker because you'll have a coronary when I get through with him.
Shot to the jaw.
All right, I turned it down. Doc, a lot happened there to the point you made. Budrow figured, I guess, by attacking Dirty White Boy, he was just going to go straight for the title. And Bob Armstrong said, nah, bruh, I'm going to get somebody else because you can't do things like that, which I thought is really cool because you can't reward, a heel type maneuver like that where he's going to, destroy the White Boy's chance of going for the title and then figure, oh, they'll just put me in the match. No, he said, Bob Armstrong was like, nope, I'd rather just give it to, the Rocky Balboa of Smoky Mountain Wrestling. So he calls on Bobby Blaze. Doc, your thoughts?
I have a question about that and the logic behind it and the psychology behind it. Why would Buddy be mad about that? Because if he's still going to get a title shot later with the winner, this is an opportunity for these two guys to whoop each other, and he can just sit there and pick the bones.
Well, I think, that's a good point, too, because no matter what, he's supposed to get a shot anyway.
Right. So he's okay. He's still literally okay and intact here. He's just lighter 2,500 in the wallet. Well, wait a minute. 1, 2. Oh, Bobby Blaze almost won there.
But here, okay, I see what you're saying. But here's another point to look at. Bobby's about to win the title. Bobby's
the king of the roll-up. Good Lord. Talk about cheapening a title.
Bobby Blaze just pinned Jerry Lawler. Let me answer your question.
And I thought Lawler was shooting and had a point. Curtain jerker and all that kind of stuff. And
let me make a point though, real quick, as I think about your question. Yes, you're right. He was going to get a shot later anyway, even if it's Dirty White Boy versus Lawler. But remember, Buddy's a heel. He's not supposed to be that intelligent. So he's just figuring, let me dispose of this asshole, the Dirty White Boy, and then I'm going to get in there against Lawler.
Okay.
Because it's my shot anyway.
I'm not too concerned about it. It was what I thought while I was watching it. I'm good with small suspension of belief here, or disbelief. So we have this will end. We have a new champion, first of all. Congratulations to Ashland, Kentucky's second favorite son behind Billy Ray Cyrus. We're talking about Bobby Blaze. Jesus Christ. It's a long way to the top if you want to rock and roll. Man, he is the champ. Sitting on top of the mountain. King of the roll-up. Doesn't matter how you get there, as long as you get there.
He throws Lawler into Buddy, who's on the ring apron, and then Bobby schoolboys Lawler. And look at Lawler like, what the hell? No, that did not just happen. Bobby tells us we'll tell the whole story later on in this episode, and it's great. It was a lot to, I'm just saying, I had fun talking to him about this moment, the months before it, and then somewhat months after it and whatnot and everything that ensues. We didn't go too far. We went about 45 minutes, but it's a good discussion, and we're going to do something else later on as things progress in Smoky Mountain with him and beyond the title and whatnot. But anyway, long story short, Bobby Blaze is the new champion. Now, with that said, Bobby's the champ.
He's got a title defense.
Right. Now he's got to defend the title.
Okay, So would the popular conventional logic be that was just a way to get it over to Buddy, and everybody in there is like, well, that's a nice story for the 30 minutes it happens, but he's going to be a champion for 30 minutes, and then Buddy's going to take it.
I mean, that could have been it. Well,
and that's why. Well, yeah, that's a good point too. That's why I kind of like what all goes down here.
Right. So let me play this quick audio clip. This is as Buddy is getting in the ring to now fight Bobby Blaze, because now Buddy's getting his title shot.
Well, fans, as you just saw here at Sunday Bloody Sunday, a shocking, unbelievable development. Bobby Blaze defeating Jerry the King Lawler to become the new Smoky Mountain Heavyweight Champion. But now Bobby Blaze, already tired from having wrestled twice today, must defend that belt against Nature Boy Buddy Landell. Fans, let's go to the closing moments of that great match.
So you heard Kessler. He throws it to Budrow versus Bobby for the title. We've only got the one camera shot of this match, so we can't see Bobby's face, but we are told that Bobby is busted open and he's bleeding badly. Now, Bobby He ends up winning after being dominated pretty much throughout what we see. And Bobby schoolboys Landell while Landell is farting around with Dirty White Boy, who's now on the outside of the ring and has recovered.
Well, and he's the champ now. He don't have to win. He just doesn't have to lose. He can't lose. So,
but he wins.
Right. It don't matter how you get there. Has anybody gone from so far down to so far up in one night other than Rocky Balboa?
I mean, here's the thing.
Villanova beating Georgetown in 85. David slaying Goliath in Bible times.
You're making fun of Bobby, but Bobby just defeated Lawler and Landell in the same damn night by pinfall, not DQ.
Right. That's awesome. It is. And Lawler's gone now. So Lawler came in, did a little cup of coffee. He's out. And this is going to set off a really nice deal with Landell.
Yeah. There's a promo. I think it's next week. Their buddy's just vicious with Bobby. It's so not classy. It's very inappropriate, but it's
and the only thing that I thought would have been a nice touch to the end of this was if the baby faces came out of the locker room and celebrated with Bobby.
I bet Corny there was a reason he didn't do that.
Okay, that's fine. All right, so then Bobby is the champ. He has navigated the gauntlet that he didn't know he was going to have. And now he's going to go. He looks like a Civil War survivor sitting there. Actually, my note was, when he and Dirty White Boy are in the locker room, these two look like some broad menstruated on their heads.
That's nice, Doc.
Dude, look at that right there. These two.
In the words of Bob, what are you, 12?
These two hillbillies look like they just got back from the Battle of Antietam, and they're just like their muskets ran out of. He kind of looks like a skinny Terry Gordy sitting there. Bobby, that is.
Let's go to it now. This is after the matches. Bobby is in the back with Chip Kessler and Dirty White Boy. Both of them have their heads bandaged. Bobby is
he's a mess.
Pretty good. He's a mess. Let's hear what they got to say. It's Dirty White Boy and Bobby with Chip Kessler.
Back here in the dressing room at the Knoxville Civic Coliseum, it's about 30 minutes after Bobby Blaze wrote wrestling history here today in Knoxville. Blaze, substituting for the injured Dirty White Boy, not only defeats Jerry the King Lawler for the Smoky Mountain Heavyweight Championship in a tremendous upset, he then goes about and defeats Nature Boy Buddy Landell to retain the championship belt. Bobby, I have to say the folks here in Smoky Mountain Wrestling and for the world of wrestling are already calling you the upset kid.
Mr. Kessler, I can't believe I won it either. I'm still in a state of shock right now that I won this belt right now. When I come back to Smoky Mountain Wrestling, I'm a year and a half older, a year and a half wiser, and I thought I was about to climb a long, long ladder, and it all came to me in one day. The only thing I can say is this is the greatest day of my wrestling career and the greatest day of my life. I'm just as surprised as you are and everyone else.
And White Boy, I know you're disappointed that you were literally cheated out of your title shot by Buddy Landell. You have to be happy about your friend Bobby Blaze. You made your presence felt, though, towards the end of that match with Buddy Landell, and some people would say and help Bobby Blaze in retaining the championship here today.
Well, first of all, I didn't help Bobby Blaze win anything. All I did was prevent Nature Boy Buddy Landell from cheating like he always does, like he's done everybody else, and it's a hell of a kid. No, it's a hell of a young man right here.
Fans, there you have it here from the...
I'd like to say something. My wife just had a new baby. He's 2 weeks old. Drake, Daddy's bringing home the gold tonight. That's all I just want to say hello to my son, Drake.
You see this, Bobby Blaze?
All right, let me stop it before they go to Buddy. My bad, I was supposed to stop it. But Doc, first thoughts on Bobby and
I thought he was really good, still doing the aw shucks. He said it was the greatest day of his life. I know that has changed now because he's been on our show, so that would be the greatest times of his life. But Dirty White Boy did a great, just simple job of putting him over. I thought this was all really, really well done, and congratulations, Bobby Blaze. Smoky Mountain heavyweight champion. And I don't care. You call people marks or it's all a work, but everybody grows up and wants to be the champ, and not everybody gets there. So, there you go.
And I want you to consider, you'll hear it in a little bit when I talk to Bobby. I mean, basically, Bobby was a Memphis wrestling fan growing up. So, and here he is against Jerry Lawler, winning the Smoky Mountain title. And I know it doesn't seem like a big deal to some, but like Bobby literally went in there against, a legend.
Okay, so let me tell you. I ain't trying to be a dick here. What's the biggest name in wrestling that you put their shoulders to the mat?
Tommy Rogers.
Okay, you beat Tommy Rogers 1-3.
Whoa, hold on. Tommy Rogers. You'd say Tommy Rogers is a bigger name than Sam Houston?
I would.
Yeah, that's why I said that. Tommy Rogers. I'm trying to think. I mean, I had.
So those two guys are
Chris Adams whipped my ass. I never pinned him.
Well, and here's
probably
the thing.
Rogers.
Those guys are famous wrestlers, and we all know them, but they ain't Jerry Lawler. That's what I'm saying.
Well, and I told Bobby when we were recording with him, I said that would be the equivalent of fucking Junkyard Dog putting me over for the Mid-South North American title. Like that would have been a big goddamn deal.
So that was really good. I liked it. And then I really like Buddy's response here. I thought Buddy was great.
Yeah, let's hear it. This is Buddy responding to Bobby after the match.
See this, Bobby Blaze? This is blood. But it's not my blood, son. It's your blood, Bobby Blaze. It's you that got your head busted open and beat to a frazzle right in the middle of the ring. But did I win the belt? No. Why didn't I win the belt? Because it took Bob Armstrong. It took the Dirty White Boy. It took Jerry Lawler, the referee, the wrestling fans, Smoky Mountain Wrestling. It's a conspiracy going on. It's like Dallas in '61. It's a conspiracy, but I'm in the middle of it, and I don't like it. And I can be a thorn in people's flesh. I can be a mean and nasty guy. Don't let the suits and ties fool you, Bobby Blaze. So it's coming down to this, punk. See, I'm used to Cadillacs, diamond rings, and limousines, and women's, and jet flying, and all of that. I'm not used to getting beat, son. I'm not used to that. But what you are used to is pitching hay and running ridges and moonshine, you punk from Ashland, Kentucky. So I'm telling you this. I'll put up my car, which is a Mercedes-Benz, not a moped like you drive. I'll put up my rings, my watches, my firstborn. I don't care what I have to do. I'll sign any contract just to get you back in the ring. And brother, when I do, let me promise you one thing before God right now. Lightning don't strike in the same place twice. Wear that belt proudly while you can. Because the next time I get you in the ring, you piece of I'm going to rip your stinking head off and I'm going to spit in your neck. And then you can go home to your new 2-year-old baby Drake and tell him when you're sucking soup out of a straw for about 6 months in intensive care that the nature boy Buddy Landell took care of you. Got it?
Well, Doc, thoughts?
More than anything else he said, and he was good, I like the fact that he did the soft and then just exploded after he was quiet for a second. That's just great. That's understanding how to cut a promo. And, dude, he's convinced that everybody's against him. And so far, he has reason to think that, I think. So, Buddy was great. Buddy's been cussing a lot in his promos, though. We need to get that cleaned up.
Nah, I like it. Buddy was great there. I agree with you. He talks about ripping his head off, and then he takes a shot, a little small shot at the family. We're going to get more of that, but that was good stuff. So, look, they're off and running with Bobby Blaze versus Buddy Landell at this point as Jerry Lawler now exits the stage and exits Smoky Mountain. We're going to have to stay tuned to this one. This is I'm sure things are going to continue to bubble to the surface. We'll see what happens. We go immediately right from Bobby and the Buddy situation to the Gangsters, and let's hear what the Gangsters have to say. Here we go.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back with the Gangsters. As we know, Jim Cornette will bring a mystery partner to the big six-man tag team matchup at the Bluegrass Brawl. Does that concern you in the least?
Do I look concerned? Jim Cornette done tried every possible trick and ain't nothing worked. We done beat the Rock and Roll Express. We beat the Heavenly Bodies, you don't see them. We done beat up all the Armstrong, Brad, Bob, Steve, Grumpy, Dopey, Goofy, and now he gonna go and get a mystery partner. Do I look concerned? I ain't worried about Cornette. I ain't worried about no mystery partner. I ain't worried about no redneck he can put in front of the gangsters. It's only 3 of us here, but it's a whole lot of us that I can go and get it. And if need be, I can bring a whole busload up here. I bring so many of us up here, you would think we was making a Tarzan movie. So partner, if you want some, come on, get some, because I'm letting you know now, the gangsters here to be had. Cornette, I don't care who you go and get. You can get your big fat mama in Louisville, Kentucky, and roll her down to the ring. We'll beat her just like we beat you. You want some? Come on, partner. We ready.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we'll find out next week who that...
All right, New Jack says he isn't worried about whoever this mystery partner is that they'll then have to face against. And New Jack says, if need be, I can bring a whole busload of us up here. If need be, he says, I can get enough and so many that you would think we're filming a Tarzan movie. That's real classy, New Jack.
Real classy.
Jesus freaking Christ. That got some heat though in that area, man, when he said that, because there's these folks, you know, Bubba and Barbara up in the mountains was like, man, don't bring them down here. I got my shotgun ready. I ain't for this shit, man. I'm here to watch a wrestling, not see this shit. Anyway, Doc, you got any thoughts from New Jack there in the Gangsters?
I just really liked it at the beginning when he said, do I look concerned?
Only in America. All right, man. So, good stuff. Good stuff. Love it. Love every bit of it. Doc, any other thoughts on how this episode ends?
Let's get to the ratings, pal.
Well, normally I don't rate this shit, and I'm not giving out a disability check. But I tell you what I am going to do. First thing I'm going to do is say, hey, please become a Patreon member at tinyurl.com/PatreonBTT. Get access to the world-class shows, the ECW shows, the video reviews of these episodes, and 200 other Patreon exclusive episodes. Also, the Clash of Champions that we do on the NWA show. We've got another pay-per-view coming up. We did the Bunkhouse Stampede earlier this year. We've got another pay-per-view coming up, the Great American Bash. So lots of stuff available for our Patreon members at tinyurl.com/PatreonBTT. So thank you very much if you're a patron. I'm not giving out a disability check. I'm just going to rate this episode an A+ like we do on the NWA show. And it is because our boy, our friend, Bobby Blaze defeated, not only did he defeat Jerry Lawler, but he defeated Buddy Landel in one night. What a night. What a night. So there you go. A+. What are you giving it disability check-wise, Doc?
8.4.
I thought you'd give it something higher than that. I'm shocked.
I rate the episodes the way that they're presented to me. I'm saying 8.4.
10-4, pal. Okay. Government Cheese, named by Shard Johnson, longtime listener. Shard, become a patron. Help support the show. Anyway, how do we not give it to fucking Bobby Blaze, Doc? Please tell me you're not going to give it to someone else.
There is really no other leader in the clubhouse. Mr. Smedley gets the cheese, pal. He's the champ out of nowhere. It's the greatest day of his life until today when he won the government cheese. So Bobby gets the cheese.
Bobby gets the cheese, and he's not only did he win the cheese as far as the gold, but he wins the cheese this episode. So Bobby, you hillbilly, you Ashland, Kentucky native, thank you again for joining the show. But more than anything, congratulations all these years later on defeating Lawler and Landel in the same night. What a night, and I know you loved it because we talked about it. Anyway, Doc, anything else you want to talk about before we turn it over to throw it to Bobby Blaze and myself talking about this night?
Well, actually, no, I'm just kidding. Let's go hear from Bobby.
All right, man. So for Doc and Harper, who's not here, Doc, won't you hit the tagline, and then I'll bring in Bobby Blaze for the interview and him to talk about this glorious night that he had back at Sunday Bloody Sunday in 1995.
Well, then let's book it, bitch.
Hello, everyone, and you've probably just finished listening to episode 163 from March 11th of 1995 of Smoky Mountain Wrestling, or you're a Patreon member and you're getting this about a month early. I am sitting here with former Smoky Mountain Wrestling champion Bobby Blaze. Bobby has been on this show numerous times before, but I wanted to bring Bobby back because, as you know, if you're listening to this on Patreon, we haven't gotten to this point in Smoky Mountain Wrestling yet, but if you're listening on the free feed, you just listened to Doc and Harper, and maybe Harper. We don't know if Harper can make it yet. But Doc and I review Smoky Mountain Wrestling from from March 11th, 1995, episode 163. So I'm sitting here with longtime friend, Smoky Mountain Wrestling former champion, Bobby Blaze. Bobby, how you doing, man?
Hey, man, I'm doing good, Mike. It's great to be back on the show, booking the territory. Shout out to Doc and Harper there. But, hey, man, I'm a friend of the show, friend of the program. You know that. I usually listen every probably Sunday afternoon after I record my podcast. And I'm doing pretty good, man. It's great touching base with you.
No, I appreciate it. I appreciate your time wanting to do this again. I think you've been on 2 or 3 times before, maybe 4. I can't even remember. I know it's been a bunch of times, but it's been a while since you've been on. But we had to bring you back because the March 11th, 1995 episode of Smoky Mountain, there was a huge surprise. And I got some questions for you, and I know you got some answers for me because you have a great memory when it comes to these things. To basically, wrap things up from what we were just talking about on the Smoky Mountain show, you won the Smoky Mountain Wrestling heavyweight title from Jerry Lawler. Now, you've actually talked to me about this before, but I don't know if we've gone into this great a detail. So, Bobby, my first question is, this, at least as far as the Smoky Mountain TV, literally comes out of nowhere. You show up at the big event and you win the title. So I want you to take me through what happened, because you're not on TV before, it's not being built up, and then out of nowhere, like I said, all of a sudden you're facing Lawler for the title. So how did all this happen? When did Cornette call you? When was it decided? What did Lawler think? What did Budrow think? I mean, everything that I'm thinking of. I got 20 questions, so I'll just throw it at you, and you tell me how it all went down, where it started, and all that good stuff, for that night.
I'll try to tell you the best I can, man, after that. That's a damn 20 questions right there. So, that's good. That's good. And I appreciate that. So what happened was I had finished up with Smoky Mountain probably 4 or 5 months before that, as far as just, working pretty regular for them. And I got called back for some TVs and this and that. But in the meantime, Jimmy had asked me, to go away. And he'd bring me back in the future if it's possible. It was all good. There was nothing like that as far as you're fired kind of thing, no BS. It's just like, hey, we're changing talent now. We're this and that. You've been around here for a while. What's this saying? How can I miss you if you don't go away? And I actually spoke to, over in Memphis there, I spoke to Randy Hales, and there was a time I would went over and starved, Mike, to be honest with you. But at that point, I wasn't ready to do that. So I was getting good bookings off the Smoky Mountain TV, where I had a good run, just for the regional TV. So with that said, what happened was, the best I remember, man, I'm just going to tell you, I was one of the few people to know, obviously, because Jimmy called me. I had been up in West Virginia at a radio station, and I was getting ready to go to Tennessee. To tell you, I'm out here, where I'm out here out in Kentucky. I border a lot of, a lot of states. I'm in the tri-state area, but I was doing radio earlier that day, and I stopped by my house I don't know why I did. I was actually going to leave West Virginia, head through Kentucky and Virginia down to Tennessee, but I came back through my house. This is pre-cell phone, and I was going to be there like maybe 30 minutes at the most. And the phone rang. It's Cornette. And this is probably in January probably. I almost want to say it's in December, but I'm pretty sure it's January. And I wish I could remember that saying truthfully. But probably January of 95, and it was Cornette. It's about 3 o'clock in the day. And again, I wasn't even going to stop by my home. I had already left to do the radio. And Cornette says, "Hey, Bobby, what's up? And just want to touch base with you. Got an idea. I want to run by you." Thing was, I was on a show, getting ready to head to a show in Tennessee. So was he, Smoky Mountain show, but I was doing some independent. And I was like, "Yeah, what's up?" And And he goes, I'd like to bring you back. I got this idea. I'm going to run by you. He goes, but the thing is, he goes, you can't tell anyone. He goes, you know, you this has to be on the down low, you know, as I say nowadays, you know. So I was like, okay. And I didn't know what to expect, to be honest with you. I was like, you know, what the hell is going on? And again, it came out of nowhere. And he goes, I got this idea. I think we'll put the strap on you. And man, I about just like, you know, I was sitting on the edge of a bed on a, you know, phone with a cord, and I'm going like, I about fell back like, what? And I go, what? And I probably did say it honestly. And he goes, yeah, I got this idea. He goes, you know, Lawler's going to have the belt and blah, blah, blah. And if it's all right with Jerry, he goes, I'm going to run it by him first. He goes, but I'm seriously thinking this is what I'd like to do. I got this idea in my head. It's a great angle. Just want to make sure you're available. What do you think? And I was just like beside myself, to be honest with you. And I was like, you know, hey, it's good with me. I'm not going to say a word to anyone. I go, can I ask you this? I said, you know, am I coming back with a pay increase or whatever? Because I'll be, you know, working a lot more dates or whatever, what's expected of you. And he said, oh, yeah, I'm going to take care of you. And Jimmy always did, just so you know. So it was all good that way. I was like, I didn't ask for a specific amount. He didn't say a specific amount, nothing like that. I knew what I had made before, and he always took care of me, like I said. And, man, the conversation, he was like, just, you know, just kind of, he's all the people I've talked to know about this. And he goes, I got to run it by Jerry just to make sure he'll do it. But how do you feel about it? And I was like, I'm in, you know, I'm in. Thanks very much. He goes, listen, I got to make a town. He was telling me someplace in Tennessee. I said, I'm heading, you know, I was 2 hours from there, whatever, another section of Tennessee. I was like, yeah. And so I had this drive, you know, another 4 hours going, oh my God, I'm going to be Smoky Mountain champion, and I can't tell anyone. And I'm working for like, I don't know, $100, $150 shot, you know, somewhere in Tennessee. I had like a double shot. There was a deal where I'd get like $150 one night. I know it doesn't sound like a lot, or to some people it may sound like a lot, but there was some guys that ran these shows, and they would do, you know, they paid the independent guys to $100 or $200. And so I was like, I was saying, you know, that's a good Friday, Saturday gig, or a good Friday, Saturday, Sunday gig, whatever, pick up some extra money. Just driving, man, trying to think, oh my, driving by myself, listen to radio, whatever, going, man, what an opportunity I have. Then you got to go to this, as Cornette calls them nowadays, outlaw mud shows. No, you know, you're one of the guys off Smoky Mountain TV, and they're paying you pretty good, and everyone else is probably making $2 in a fucking candy cane or something, or a bag of M&Ms or a hot dog. You know, I don't know what the fuck they're making, but I know I'm getting my money. Because they, you know, again, I tried to business only, you know, and I'm thinking like, man, if they only knew. So that's kind of what happened, man. And then you know, Jimmy called me back I don't know, probably that following Tuesday, maybe Wednesday, and he said, hey, we're a go. You know, this is what I like to do. And he laid it out for me, and he said, again, just don't say anything. I think at that point, honestly, the only people I think it knew was, you know, Jimmy. I think Mark Curtis and Sandy Scott knew, and I'm sure, but of course, Lawler knew. And I'm not so sure how much Buddy and White Boy knew, to be honest with you, because I don't know what, I'm sure they knew, but I don't know to what extent they knew what was going to happen that particular day. But because Jimmy's just got that great mind, and as you know, I'm a Cornette guy, so I'm always put him over. But so I'm pretty sure probably about 5 or 6 people knew. You know, what do you say, me, Jimmy, Brian, Lawler, Sadie Scott, and then 7 maybe with Lawler, with Buddy and White Boy. So that maybe Armstrong, maybe Bullet. Well, let's say this. I just realized this after all these years. Probably so 8 people probably knew, Mike.
Yeah, that's during the time when. That's during the time when. I mean, if those guys knew, it was a lot easier to keep it a secret. You didn't have no social media and, you know, text messaging.
And I think 3 of them may have been questionable if they knew or not. So I'm saying 5 to 8. I just now was figuring that out in my head because I always said about 4 or 5 people knew, myself included, you know. And I didn't say a word, man. I was just like, oh. The thing that was good was that I knew Jimmy had been good to me from the first time that I'd met him. And I knew that if he had this idea, he was always following through with his ideas.
So all I had to do basically was keep my mouth shut, keep my bookings that I was doing, which I was staying booked pretty regular, fortunately, at that time in the tri-state area, maybe 4 or 5 states over here, southeastern, states, and at least a Friday, Saturday gig. Again, sometimes a Thursday through Sunday gig if you're lucky, whatever. But all because I was on that Smoky Mountain TV and had finished up. And now I had been off their TV for a good probably 6 months. I think I'd done probably no 4, but probably 3 or 4 shows where they was within an hour of my house that I could get to. And I wrestled as myself because I'm, within an hour of my house, where I had a couple of house shows where no TV was in this area. We didn't have TV within about 30 miles of my home at that time on cable. And then I went to a couple of shows under a mask, and it wasn't as kendo. It was just like, go in there and put White Boy over or someone, you know what I'm saying? And I wore a completely different gimmick. I had a whole bodysuit. Actually, I had all completely covered my body, and I had a hood on, of course. But so I probably did 3 or 4 of those, and I always spoke to Jimmy. At least I checked in once a month or so at the time. So when that call came, I thought, well, maybe when he said, Bobby, it's Jim, I thought maybe he's returning my car or something. I don't even know if I had called him at that particular time. But I'm just saying it totally took me off. Like I said, I was on the edge of a bed, man. I fell back like, I hope that answers that question.
Yeah, it did, because, like I said, it if you're watching just the TV and you're not making any of the spot shows or any of the other Smoky Mountain shows, according to the records I was looking at, you only had made in that year, so in 95 up until right before you won the title, according to the records I have, it was showing you only on one other show where it was the Heavenly Bodies and yourself beat the Gangsters and D-Lo when you pinned D-Lo in a match. That was like the only other match that I could find that you, or a card that I could find that you were on. So, the fact that you win the title, literally, and that wasn't even on TV. That was just a spot show.
No, that was saying the spot shows. I've done probably 3 or 4 of them, which again would have been, we're over a 6-month period here that I've been off TV, probably 5 or 6 months. When I saying I went under a, total hood and stuff or total body thing. That match actually was in my hometown. It was a show I helped with Smoky Mountain, because we didn't have TV here, so I could wrestle myself, of course, because probably people would know even if I had a full bodysuit on here, they'd know who it was. Back then, you know what I'm saying? So some of the shots I did were a little bit farther away, maybe 3 or 4 hours or whatever, but I did maybe a couple, like I said, just locally as myself. That particular one, we had done, I think a few months before that, I promoted a show, and it was me and Rock and Roll against the Gangsters. And then the next time we come, it was the way Jimmy booked it and ran my hometown. It was us, me and the Heavenly Bodies against the Gangsters. So again, it's one of those things. That's probably the only time in '95 or whatever that I did work, but it wasn't on TV because, like I said, I was doing independence, and I had I ran a couple of shows in conjunction with Smoky Mountain. I ran Ashland and a couple little shows here and there for them, helping back in the day. So yeah, that sounds about right.
So,
but it did come out nowhere on TV. I had been off the TV for quite a while.
Oh yeah, you had been off for a while, and like I said, when I first tuned into it, it's like I said, it was the March 11th episode that we just covered, and you're out of nowhere. Basically, Jim Ross and Les Thatcher, they throw us to Chip Kessler, who sets the table for Buddy Landell, who's attacking Dirty White Boy before his match with Jerry Lawler for the Smoky Mountain title. And then Buddy has something to say, and then we hear Bob Armstrong say, well, we're going to settle it this way. And then they cut to the clip of you wrestling Lawler. The fans kind of go crazy. It's very, very, it's very good. Now, you talked about Lawler, and if Jimmy said it was okay. So talk us through, you get there, and this is Jerry Lawler. You are from Ashland, Kentucky. So obviously, as someone who grew up on Memphis wrestling, right?
Yes, sir. That's why I was going to tell you today. If you didn't bring it up, you got to realize that's Jerry the King Lawler, and I grew up watching Memphis wrestling. You know what I'm saying? So, and I've never met him at that point. I only knew this for a couple weeks. I had, when I went out of town a couple of times, Mike, one of those independent bookings, I would catch the program Again, we didn't get it in my hometown. The closest it came to was about 30 miles from here, Smoky Mountain Wrestling. So even though I know what was going on, I kind of kept track through when I'd go out there on the weekend. I'd catch an episode of Smoky Mountain on one of the TVs because that was the areas I was wrestling, like I said, because I had been on there. So I was like, oh, man, I'm coming in there. And it's Jerry the King Lawler, So let's speed things up here. When I get to the building that night, I do the professional thing. You go introduce yourself. And, of course, I'm happy to see all the boys I hadn't seen for a while. And at the Knoxville City Coliseum, it's pretty big. There's two sides, so I have to go around to the other side and see everyone. And, of course, I speak to Lawler and Landell and everyone. I speak to everyone, but I make sure I go and tell Jerry Lawler who I am. And, at that point, he's like, yeah, kid, you're very professional. I heard about you. I'll get with you in a minute, that kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? Because this is an hour or 2 hours before the show. I don't even know. Big show, So, but we're in the back. And of course, like I said, I introduced myself to him. And that's that for that particular time, because I go back to my side. And I know I have a match earlier in the program via Mark Curtis. He said, this is what, you're going to be opening match. And I need you to give about 5 or 8 minutes. I said, yeah, no problem. And I was with a guy named Brian Logan, real nice, good guy. Tim Horner, a train. I know you guys love hearing that name.
I love, hold on, Bobby. Hold on.
No.
I have, I done got nothing against Tim. We've had a lot of fun making fun of Tim's promos. Tim has never done me a thing. We've talked about this. But no,
I know.
I didn't know. I don't know if I knew.
He turned out to be a really good worker.
I didn't.
Fine Keys and Brian Logan.
Okay.
And we got out and got, he was a good hand. And so, man, he went out that particular day and really put me over. Because at that point, he knows what's going on, too. All the boys do, But no one, again, is saying anything. So I go out there and I have a good opening match. Probably 70-30, 80-20, whatever. I'm not going to eat them up, of course, but I'm back and I got a good reaction when I came out and blah, blah, blah. And then after that, I went over to speak with Lawler, and that's when he said, okay, here's the deal. And of course, I used to, as a babyface, you're going to stop and clap and try to get the fans behind you. When the guys get a little bit of heat on you or what have you, when you come out, I'm doing that interaction thing. You know what I'm saying? And the only thing Lawler says to me is, hey, the whole deal on this is don't worry about all that clapping and stomping your foot and getting the fans with you. He said, because it's probably not going to be a, real big heat spot for you to come back in. He said, it's going to be really quick, kind of out of nowhere. He said, let me take care of all that. He said, just listen to me and we'll be fine. He said, when the time's right, I'm going to grab a headlock and you'll see, buddy. And I said, okay. And that was pretty much it, to be honest with you, because I remember him specifically saying, don't worry about the clapping and stomping and trying to get the feet behind you. He said, I'll make sure they're behind you. And he just put me in that position, So I hope that answers your question as to where things went to from there when we got in the ring. So.
Yeah, it just, my biggest question was mainly, the fact that it was Lawler and here he is, he's about to put you over for the Smoky Mountain Wrestling title.
Yeah.
I got to meet the dog back in the day, but I never got to wrestle him. And it would have been like me meeting, the dog and dog going, all right, kid, I'll put you over, in his little grovelly voice. And, And I probably would have shit my pants, if in that situation. That's why I could, I'm thinking about you. And it's
great. Nothing but professional. And I really didn't, I knew it at that time. I'm wrestling Jerry the King Lawler. But it's one of those things when, and I told my brother actually came up from Miami, Florida, and that was a cool thing too. I want to throw this in there. I got to take my mom down to the show with me. So what happened was I was booked. Listen to this. I was booked the night before in Tennessee. Okay, I had reserved several rooms for my mom, my brother. Excuse me. Sorry about that. So down in Knoxville. So my brother had come from Miami. It was a great opportunity for my mom to see my brother, who she hadn't seen for a year or two or whatever it was. I don't remember what the time was. But also, they knew I was wrestling Jerry King Lawler, but I didn't even tell them. And my brother is a great wrestling fan, and he's wrestled before. So, it's not like he's not smart to the business. But I was like, I want them to be surprised. But I was booked on a Saturday in one of those outlaw shows I was talking about. And believe it or not, one of those phone calls that come to you, I wanted to tell you this. And I will give you, I appreciate you guys plugging my book, Pin Me, Pay Me, and then I mentioned it very briefly. But the guys that had booked me the night before were going to pay me like $200. And they called me like right when I was getting ready to head down tour, like Johnson said, he'd been over to Knoxville the next night to do the Sunday Bloody Sunday show. And they called me and they was like, they just started like, we can't have you on this show. We can't do this. We're not having you down there. You're not drawing us anymore. It was one of those outlaw shows, you know what I'm saying? And I was sitting there going, man, if you ain't new, after tomorrow, you'll be fucking calling me. You'll wait and see. And I played it very cool. It's just some fucking hillbilly redneck down in Tennessee outside Johnson City at Randy shows that actually had kept me booked during that 6-month period. Probably once a month, paid me $200. But for whatever reason, got a wild hair that day to say they couldn't afford me. And they didn't talk nasty to me or nothing like that. But I was like, you know what? I'm sorry to hear that, or whatever I said, thanks a lot. And hung it up, and I told my mom, I said, hey, my brother wasn't due to the next day. I said, we're going to have to leave till tomorrow morning. And she goes, oh, that's good. So it all worked out, Mike. So when we traveled down there, and I kid you not, on Monday morning, my phone rang off the hook from those guys and several other independent guys going, hey, Bobby, what's your booking fee? When can we get you on the show? And I was like, you can't. But back to the Lawler thing, with him, like I said, man, it was completely professional. When I spoke to him, like I said, it was all very easy. In the back, I wrestled that first match. I went in the back. I was supposed to come out totally surprised because you saw it on TV. Bullet Bob Armstrong goes in the back and gets the first wrestler he sees, and that's supposed to be me. So I'm back there just about. I've got one boot just about halfway, not halfway unlaced, just unlaced, just enough. Of course, knee pad, one of them down, just enough that I may have getting ready to be changed or whatever. And he brings me out there, and I'm coming out at that point just as startled as all the fans are, and hopefully just as all the fans are when they saw it on TV. They're like, "What are you? You know what I'm saying? What are you? Are you? He got Bobby Blaze? This is his first night back in." And then, like I said, we got in the ring, and Lawler's like laughing and joking. He puts his arm around me. Hey, kid, let's get a picture. And because this will be the closest you ever come to greatness, this will be the closest you ever come to championship, the belt. You'll never be this. And he's kind of put me over, kind of bear me. You know how Lawler is, right? Great fucking interview. He's out there doing a great fucking promo for me in the ring. I'm sitting there like the starstruck fucking kid, like you was talking about, you a dog or whatever. I'm sitting in the ring as a grown ass dog going, fuck, I'm getting restless, guy. And, and there was nothing caught. He just said, hey, at that point, there was no shit in the back where he said, do this, do that. Like I said, all he said was, don't worry about clapping and stomping. I'll get, there's not going to be a lot of chance for you to have a heat come back and all of that. He said, when the time's right, he said, I'll get you over. And he said, you'll see Buddy jump up. And he said, when you see Buddy on the turnbuckle, you'll know. Because I'm going to grab a headlock. And that's all I pretty much knew. So we're in there. And at that point, that's when the match starts. After he cuts his promo with me in the ring. And I'm standing like in my corner like the starstruck kid. And also I have to kind of revert back to like I'm supposed to be even more surprised. And also he's way out of my league. I have to oversell that as well. You know what I'm saying? So I kind of have to just be leery of him because this is Jerry the King Lawler, not just someone that I had looked up to and followed his career and was a huge fan of and this and that, but also as doing the work, putting the work in, if you will. I had to get over like, oh man, he is Jerry the King Lawler. He should beat my ass and should pin me in probably a couple of minutes. But, I know otherwise. He's going to string along until the time's right. And Buddy, being a professional he is, or was at that time, and everyone involved, it was one of those things when the time was right, done my kicks, done this, done that, Lawler like headlock. Boom, shoot me off. I shot him off. There's him and Buddy. I rolled him up, 1, 2, 3, and the place goes crazy. I go crazy. I can, of course. Inside I do, but on the outside I'm selling like a motherfucker, because he's beating the piss out of me until, he grabs a headlock and I shoot him off for the finish.
Bobby,
Yeah,
it did. Let me ask you a question. I appreciate the details. So I had told you a story one time. I got to work with Chris Adams, and I grew up. I saw Adams in world class. So it was Chris was. I think I've told you the story before, but Chris wasn't the most talkative guy, but after the match I had with him, I walked up to him and I said, "Hey, Chris, how was everything?" And he didn't hesitate, and all he said was, "You did good." And that was it. He didn't say anything else. He didn't say anything bad. It was just like, no, everything. And I think he repeated, he was like, everything was fine. And that was it. I say that to say, when you wrestled Lawler after in the back, I know a lot of times it's customary if you're especially considered young or, this guy is somebody you grew up watching. I mean, he's a legend. He's Jerry Lawler. Afterwards, in the back, was there any interaction with you guys after the match where you're like, hey, was everything fine? Yada, 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 that type of thing?
No, you know what it was? Because soon as that match ended, Buddy jumps in and whopping on me. And it's called Sunday Buddy Sunday for a reason. And I'm just, there's juice everywhere. And so as soon as I go in the back, they start taking pictures, and I don't have much time to like really clean off or anything, but I damn sure have got to go over and tell him thanks, him and Buddy both, and everyone involved. Bullet and Scotty. I remember Scott Armstrong, jumping up and down when I won it. Dirty White Boy was involved. I had to thank them all. But the very first one I went to, I wiped off what I could, made sure, I went over there and I thanked him. And he said, hey, thank you, everything. There was no, I didn't even think about I was so elated because it's one of those things that happen that, you want to make sure it all got over good. And you're the champion now and you have expectation for you, but this man just basically passed the torch to you, if you will, for Smoky Mountain Wrestling. So I went over and I made sure, I found them. And it wasn't hard to find because there was an open area right there on the hillside with a monitor, et cetera. And I just walked up to him and said, hey, thank you very much. Thank you. And he was like, thank you, whatever. And that was that, really. There was no, whole lot of interaction, to be honest with you. He was there. He knew what he was there for. And, he when he came in, he knew what the whole deal was because, again, Cornette had brought him in for that specific reason to do business. It was business only. And, of course, when I spoke to Buddy said, hey, Bobby, basically, I thank you, and we'll be talking soon. And White Boy, the same thing. And then, of course, that was that. As far as Lawler goes, though, yeah, I shook his hand. I thanked him very much. And I probably dipped my head down like, hey, man, thank you. I'm bowing like, out of respect. I don't know if I did. I'm just saying I probably did. But I know I went over and, that was that. And, I think it got over fine, and I think he knew that too. And I think I'm pretty sure Cornette and Buddy and White Boy were more talking like those three, and Jerry was like kind of right to the side. I could be wrong, but outside that little circle. So when I walked over there after he'd done photos and stuff, it was just one of those things where it's like they knew it got over, and there wasn't any explanation other than, what's next, because the angle was what it was. So when I thanked them, and that was that. I was fine with that, to be honest with you. I was fine with that.
I'm sure. Yeah, you don't want to. I know exactly what you mean. Was there any? White Boy had been champion for a while before Lawler won it. He had, I think, one of the longest runs, and Buddy had been in the business for a very long time and was well respected. I mean, he had been on Saturday Night and been throughout the territories, Mid-South, and everywhere. Was there any? I gotta ask this, and I'm not trying to ask you if there was like any contention, but were White Boy and Budrow as two veterans right there? Not that you weren't a vet. What I mean is, they were guys who had been around for a long time. What was, what did they think? I mean, were they like, man, we can't believe Jimmy put it on Bobby like this, or
yeah,
they
I think so.
Oh, you think they did feel that way?
Yeah, they felt it. They felt it. I know for a fact they felt it. Believe me.
Okay.
And that's probably for another show, to be honest with you.
Okay.
That night on that Sunday night, on Sunday Bloody Sunday, it was all, you know, shaking hands and baby faces to you, you know, because you're the champion. So like I said, Buddy probably said, like, you know, when I thanked him, he thanked me, and he said, I'll be talking to you soon. And same thing with White Boy, because he was out there, like I said, you know, Scotty Armstrong, Bullet Armstrong, and all the baby faces, they was all for it. You know, they knew what was up, like Ricky and Robert, Tracy, them guys were all like, you know, this is a great idea that Jimmy's got. And they're all baby faces, of course. Jimmy knows what the fuck Jimmy's doing, and he's got a great mind. And I'll be redundant to say, I'm a Cornette guy. He treated me good from day one. And so I think at some point, and if you want to do another show, I go in a little bit more detail, but I think, you know, Buddy, I always liked Buddy. Even before I got into business, I met Buddy probably, in 88. I met Buddy in 88. And so I knew who he was. And White Boy I met when I come there. And, of course, he went out there and put me over for the TV championship, you know, early in my brief Smoky Mountain run earlier. So, or beat the TV champ or whatever. So, yeah, they was a little bit like, you know, what the fuck is Jimmy thinking kind of thing. But I think they both, at that particular night, there was no, it may have been whatever. They may have talked amongst themselves. I don't think they spoke to Lawler or Jimmy about it. Sure as hell didn't speak to me about it. There was nothing but, you know, shaking my hand, congratulate me and saying it was all good. And again, that might be for another show when you want to say, well, you know, and again, it wasn't anything. I think they felt like, especially White Boy, really felt like that title was his title and was wondering what the hell Jimmy's doing. But as he did before with me, put me over and doing the junior title with that run, it all came out good. So with this one here, that was the same thing. There was an idea. Here's where we're going with it. And they played along as long as they could. And I think we'll go into that another time, to be honest with you. Let's keep it on an up note here that
right.
That particular night they was on board with it, you know.
Yeah, I agree. I was curious more than anything. We'll definitely record again.
There's something there, I'll tell you that. They both thought that title was theirs, but it wasn't. And, you know, it was the Smoky Mountain Heavyweight Championship title. It was the heavyweight title. It was whoever fucking won the thing or, you know, or was booked to win it. It's booking the territory, you know. And I was booked to win it that night over Jerry Lawler. Go out there and then beat Landell right after that and retain it and still be the Smoky Mountain Heavyweight Champion for the next few weeks of programming. So yeah, there you go.
And Bobby, what else is funny? I know we're starting to run short on time, so we'll start wrapping up because I know you got to run.
Thank you.
No, no problem. I just want to say one other thing. You and I have actually talked before about how what happened with White Boy and Horner during one of your first runs in Smoky Mountain, and where there was a little friction, and you know when I guess you beat White Boy that first time, and it wasn't that he was mad with you. It was just kind of like, you know, he said, "Look, I know you." I think you caught them having some words, and and he said something to you like, "Look, I know what you heard, but look, I'm here to do business with you. Don't let that get to you or whatnot. Everything's cool." And I think you and I even talked about the fact that when it came to that title, a lot of times, you know, it was Cornette's title because it's Cornette's promotion, but there were some guys around there who like almost thought it was theirs. Like, unfortunately, and I'm not trying to talk bad about Horner or White Boy because I actually really liked all those guys, you know. So anyway,
so that's a straight shoot. I'm glad you recalled that. Yeah, what it was, I was doing my program White Boy, and Horner was doing his program Candido, and I just happened to come around a corner. And they was like questioning what the fuck Cornette was doing, you know, what's going on here kind of thing. These green guys, you know, young guys, whatever it was. And so it's kind of one of those things. And that had been, you know, probably, I don't know, you had to track the time there, you know, year 18 or 20 months before that, you know, before I got the heavyweight title. So here it is. And I could tell you a couple of stories. There was some friction there, not that Sunday. And you know, we can go on eventually for whatever. There was some friction there because, again, I think both of those guys really thought that was their title. But the thing was, because Buddy lived not too far from there, was a veteran, and you know, that White Boy lived there. He held the title all those. When you add up all the runs and days he had, it was, I think, the biggest and longest run. But I think both of them really felt like that was our title, the Smoky Mountains, you know. And here's this younger guy, you know, even though I had been wrestling from 88 and this took place in 95, I didn't go full time until 91. So I've been wrestling full time for 4 years. These guys been in the business 10, 15 years, you know.
Right.
Lawler, longer than that, of course, like we talked about. So, but that particular day, it was all good, you know what I'm saying? But I think, yeah, they was all, but also I know they were there to do business too. You know, they understood that, and I understood that, and it was business only because it was booked that way, and it was Cornette's idea, and everyone else got on board with that, and it made for some great professional wrestling for the fans in this area, this region, the Great Smoky Mountains, the Appalachians, and just the, you know, Kentucky, Tennessee, Virginia, West Virginia, the Carolinas, and sometimes we're down to Georgia. You know, it really meant, if I'm leaving out Virginia, maybe, I don't know if I said it, but it just provided some great professional wrestling with some good ring talented veterans like the Rock and Roll, like Buddy, like White Boy. So I don't want you to think I'm making a dig on those guys. I'm just saying. And also that brought in, as you know, some young and up and coming guys that Cornette gave a chance to. And he had an idea with it. Like I said, when he made that phone call, a few weeks passed, and no one said anything that I know of other than those, you know, maybe 5 to 8 people that knew. And on that day, when it come time, Bullet Bob went in the back, got the first wrestler he saw, which happened to be me. I came out. There's Jerry the King Lawler. Bada boom, bada bing. Boom, boom, boom. Grab a headlock, shoot him off. Him and Budrow hit head. I roll Lawler up 1, 2, 3, and I'm the new Smoky Mountain Heavyweight Champion. How's that, Mike?
It's great. So, Bobby, let's start wrapping this thing up. I want to tell all the people to go buy your book. I actually plug the book twice a week. I mean, I know you got more than one. But,
and I appreciate that. When I listen, and I've listened to the last 3 or 4 episodes because I enjoy the show. I'm a fan and a friend of the show. Hey, man, thank you for plugging my books.
Pin Me, Pay Me is the greatest. I'm not even going to call it professional wrestling. It's a great book about life lessons. Pin Me, Pay Me is true in every walk of life. So go buy Bobby Blaze's book, tinyurl.com/BTT Amazon. But anyway, you can get more from Bobby Blaze there. And then, Bobby, tell the people where to find you on Twitter and where to listen to you on Bell to Bell with Bobby Blaze.
Yes. Okay. So right now I don't have any social media other than on Twitter, and that's by choice, folks. I'm at Bobby Blaze 744. I'm off Facebook right now. I'm off Instagram. I'll probably come back to them. I've just got a lot of stuff. I'm doing a lot of writing right now. Excuse me. So I only concentrate on one thing when I'm writing. So my only social media I have, because it blew up, and I kept the best account, and that's on Twitter at Bobby Blaze 744. Also, I've got a podcast with the Geekish Cast. My good friend Jeremy out there in California records about once a week, and I got Tex down in South Carolina taking care of our YouTube channel. It's Bell to Bell with Bobby Blaze. If you go to the on Twitter, it's at Bell to Bell Blaze, and on a YouTube, it's at Bell to Bell with Bobby Blaze, or you can use tinyurl.com/BBBB video. That's where our YouTube channel is at. But the main thing with me, Mike, and a big shout out again to all the fans and friends on Booking the Territory. Just follow me on Twitter at Bobby Blaze 744. Anything else out there right now is not me, because that's the only social media I have. And I appreciate anyone that read my book. I appreciate you putting it over. And I appreciate the chance and the opportunity to come on this great program, because I do enjoy it. And thank you, Mike, for taking the time out of your day to record this with me.
No problem, Bobby. I'll let you run. Hang tight real quick, but that's Bobby Blaze, everyone. and his fourth, maybe fifth appearance on Booking the Territory. So Patreon members, I hope you enjoyed this early drop. And if you're listening to this the week of episode 163 from March 11th, 1995, we thank you as well. Bobby, do me a favor and do what Harper does at the end of every show and give me a book it, bitch.
Hey, this is Bobby Blaze, and all I can tell you is, book it, bitch.
Before we get out of here, I want to shout out a couple of people, friends of the show. Also want to shout out some Patreon members and thank them for their patronage. Before I do all that, like I said, a couple of friends of the show and podcasts that we hope you support. Check out the Wrestling Podcast About Nothing with Brian Malonis from ROH and Mike Crockett. They do their show every single Monday. Monday mornings the shows drop. They talk current and classic wrestling, along with some indie stuff too, but it's a good show. They're friends of mine, so please support them because they support us. Also, check out Our Vantage Point, the Retro Wrestling Podcast, run by buddies of mine, Joe Murata and Michael Quinn, as they give their take on the northern side of pro wrestling's history. Slightly classier, definitely more professional than we are. Thank you, Joe and Quinn, for all of your plugs. We appreciate it. Also, check out the Bottom Line Cast with Mike Prue and JV. They do their show. I believe their shows are dropping on Wednesdays these days. I keep forgetting, but they're basically breaking down the career of Stone Cold Steve Austin. So check out Mike and JV as they do their thing. Great show. And also Mike and JV do the ECW Extreme Livecast on our Patreon feed at the $5 level. So good guys doing some good work, and I appreciate it, Mike and JV. Thank you for all of your support. And like I said, I want to thank all the Patreon members out there for their support and patronage. We really appreciate it. We do 2 shows a week that are free. And then in addition to that, we do more because of you guys, and we appreciate that. So thanks for supporting this show. It's definitely a great thing that you do for us and supporting us. I mean, I can't say it enough. I'm eternally grateful for all the patrons we have. And as I'm talking about being eternally grateful, shout out to the Hall of Fame patrons. Kevin Carter, Michael Angel, Bob Richards, Rocky Suazo, Christopher Champer, Will Harkey, Robbie Dyson, Rick Beebe, Brad Dunifin, Tom Schlegel, Coach Joey Chase, a.k.a. Willie Chase, Steve Malbasa, LaRon Brown, Kenny Byersdorf, Glenn Abbott, at GA WrestleNut on Twitter, Bobby Murray, Marlon Mueller, a.k.a. at Half Pints Point. Keep cutting them promos, kid. I know you would love when I say that. Josh Warren, Everett Starr, Mike Childrey, Kyle Riley, Disrespectfully Classy, Marky Blassie, Craig Norman, Johnny on Patreon, the great John Dean at YRC21, Josh Dunn, Ryan in Auburn, at Ryan in Auburn, that is, on Twitter. Good old Justin, Robert Smith, Joseph Ice, Tim Moretti, Adam Price, Brian Evans, Mark Wilson, Armando Martinez, David Jordan, Jesse Jacobs, Josh Fields, Chris Myers, Gerald Green, Mitchell Johnson, Mike Prue, Will Parker, Jeremy Bryant, Classy Alex, David DeVries, Frog Zeppelin, SV Pageant, Bill Salsa, Big Rich, at Spy Boy Sports Cap, R.E. Miller 39, Jay Shiny, Ruben Espinoza, Merciless Jones, Jesse Lucas, Chris Browning, Justin _Andretti, Coleman 822, Marty Howell, T-Hog 94, and God Bold Unreal. Thanks for being Hall of Fame patrons. That list is getting longer and longer, and I appreciate it. Thank you for your patronage, and thank you for being Hall of Fame patrons and supporting this show and everything we do. That's all I got. Thank you again, guys. We appreciate it. Have a great rest of your day and week and whenever or month or whenever you're listening to this. Thank you very much. And like Harper always says before we get out of here, book it, bitch.